my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Egg Wars. Glad to have you back with me once again. Your viewership is always appreciated, and you are always loved and welcomed in my realm of this sphere, this corner of the internet. So thank you for tuning in. Now, I'm very happy today. My auntie, she came through. I said, listen, my auntie, hey, you know what? It's hard for me to get around, It's hard for me to get around to the store. The sips are running low again. And I just told her, I was like, so if you're on your lunch break, do you think you could pick up some sips for me on your lunch break? Here's the cash for it. And yes, God bless my auntie. She went and she got me this 4-pack of the white sips. So I'm going to pop this bad boy open for you all right now. Oh, unboxing on video. Look at that beautiful sip, and we've not even had the white sip. I don't believe in Egg Wars yet, so this is a monumentous occasion, and I gotta tell you, I got a little bit of a thirst going on right now, and I'm not talking about internet girls, I'm talking about my body is lacking hydration, so I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna sip. We're gonna sip, baby, right off the bat, right off the top. Little palm lick. Ooh. Ooh. When you take a real big sip, you take a real big sip and you get like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. When I take a real big sip, it's like, I don't know, my eyes roll back in my head. It's like this weird feeling, but it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Alright, so that's that. Today's special lucky commenter who wins a copy of Neckbeards. We have Mr. Rompelstein with his comment. I'm sorry. The sip's working its way down. His comment, the future is moving from white safe haven to safe haven and keeping your expenses really low. Minimalism and white nationalism. So that's the winning comment today, Mr. Rompelstein. If you'd like to message me your Steam information, get you that copy of Neckbeards. And once again, shout out to my three amigos, Arto, producer Chris, and Jack Hinoff. They're my buddies. Channels in the description as always. You know how we do. And I am keeping my Snapchat and Steam also in the descriptions from now on, moving forward, so you can always add me on that shit and tell me, hey, what's up, whatever, what's good. So there we go. All right. So I am going to start off today, before I get into today's main topic, which I just want to talk, we're going to have some discussion on wage cuck stories again. But this is some other stories, there's so many of these wage cuck stories I could keep, mining from the data banks, as years go by, I kind of feel a little bit, more like, oh, I might forget one here or there, but I'll tell you why it came up here, that whole thing came up here in a minute, but first I want to touch on something that I made a video about last year, but of course, we got a lot of new people, my subscribers are, probably triple what it was back then, and, and the videos, the Ask Eggy videos were a little bit, I go back and watch them, and they're kind of, I wasn't as used to speaking like the way I am now. I wasn't, excuse me, I wasn't as much with the being able to project my voice the way I wanted to. I wasn't as familiar as I am now. So there's a topic that people ask me about. They watch the videos and they say, Eggman, what the fuck are you doing? You're like this on your face. You're going crazy with your face. You're fucking, you're fucking picking your nose. You're scratching your face. All this shit. What are you doing? And I'm going to tell you like this. We're going to go back and revisit this briefly. I think, I said, we're just going to cover this. This is not the main thing today, but I have nervous tics. And, as maybe I might seem a very confident individual, who speaks directly into the camera and directly into the microphone, and he knows what he's doing, and he's really on top of everything, that's not always so much the case. You might notice that I happen to curse a lot. I'm not someone who might have a long pause or, kind of fiddle my thumbs perhaps, but if my vocabulary is not, or if I'm heated up or whatever, I might curse a lot, I might scratch and itch a lot, That's just some of the anxiety going on, some of the nervous tics I got going on. I'm going to tell you just a couple examples that I had growing up and kind of to where we are right now. When I was younger, I used to have a terrible problem. One of my first big nervous tics that I had was I would write words in the air. If you don't know about me, I had a very, very bad speech impediment for many years growing up. I had to take a speech therapy class in special education when I was older. My speech was awful. I would blurt things out. They used to call me Boomhauer, like from King of the Hill. They said that's how I sounded. So I had trouble talking, but what I would do, I would write things in the air. That's how I would basically like relieve whatever anxiety I was having, or, you know, it was weird, okay? I'm not gonna really try to make sense of it, because maybe it didn't make a lot of sense. But that's just what I would do. I would do this. I would just like write letters in the air to like write how I was feeling, and nobody would, that was like my release in a way. And then, when I was, I believe in 3rd grade, I picked up a habit of eating invisible food. Because for some reason, I mean, this is something that's fucked up because I've kind of had dealt with it my whole life, and you could probably tell I'm not trying to be a pity party here or anything, but I do have a habit of eating my feelings, and so when I feel like shit, it is not uncommon that I might go out and eat like a whole fucking cheesecake until I'm absolutely physically sick, because I don't know, it's just like, I've never been addicted to crack, you know, I'm not addicted to a lot of shit. I've done various things in my life that could have taken me on a bad path, but mostly it's just been eating junk food and eating shit when I don't feel good. I don't know, it's a bad cycle. So anyways, when I was in 3rd grade, I got into this habit of eating invisible food, and usually it would be like pudding or something. I would pretend I had like a bowl in front of me, and I would just be like, and also it's probably because I think I started watching anime about that time, and you know in anime, like when they have like their ramen or whatever, they fucking like take like the whole bowl, and they're like, and it's all like super, super exaggerated, and being autistic, it's like, you kind of latch onto these like sort of exaggerated things, you know, because it's like you have trouble picking up the subtleties. So when something's exaggerated and all like woo, you know, it's easier to kind of, you know, draw the connections there. So I started eating this invisible food, and that lasted for about a year. And then I started doing where I still had short hair. I never grew my hair out until I was well into junior high. That's when I first started having long hair, which God forbid I'm ever going to do that again. You know what? I want to just put that out there. If you watch my older videos, yes, I had longer hair. Fuck it. I'm not doing that again. I'm keeping it. This is about the longest that you're ever going to see my hair ever again. And so, I mean, my hair is not great to begin with, and I'm probably going to have to end up shaving my head at some point. But anyways, going back to the point here, I grew my hair out a little bit, so maybe to like where it is now, you know, it wasn't, I was doing motherfucking crew cuts and stuff back then. My hairline has always been bad, so it was never a good look. But I would twist it, like, and it would like knot up, and I would twist these little knots in my hair, but it was usually not so bad. It was usually good enough that if I kind of wiggled it with my hand or whatever, you know, it would come undone. But there was at least one time, and I think it might have been the time that just made me decide I wasn't going to do this anymore, where I knotted up my hair and it would not come out. It was a very fine, small knot, and it just fucking irritated the shit out of me. It was just like, driving me nuts. But that would just be the thing, though. It'd be like, I would have that little knot, and it wasn't even so much, it was a complex thing. It was the winding the hair was a thing, and then like the pulling on the hair knot was a thing to like make it come back to normal. So it was a couple different things. But, obviously my largest nervous tics that come to, have remained prominent now for many years of my life are, one, obviously the nose, and is a big thing. You know, the nose, whether I'm scratching it or whatever, or just touching the face, has always been huge for me for many years, and it's probably why, I've never had really bad acne. I never really had really bad blemishes, but I would have some, and it would usually be on account of doing this all the time. Also, I picked up, this is something you're never going to see me do on a video. Live streams, people will probably remember this if they have a history of seeing my live streams or whatever. But I have this very, very high tendency to, when I get a little bit worked up, to start sniffing, not just sniffing my fingers, but to like basically like my fingernails. Like I'll smell my fingernails, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now, where I'll just like fucking just I'll take my fingernail and just be like, give a big strong inhale, and that's just kind of fucking weird and disgusting, and it always has been. But it's, once again, it's just like it's almost, I don't even think about it. You know, it's just like, oh, you know, if the nerves are coming, then it's gonna happen or whatever. You know. Also, I have a nervous cough. And that's been going on for also probably about as long, probably about 10 years or so. If I start to get worked up, it's more noticeable if I'm like really anxious, because the sort of controlled anxiety that I have when I'm doing a video or doing a stream or whatever the case might be, where my nose is just like really, it's going off like the lightning bolts, like it's got to be touched, you know. The cough isn't quite as much because obviously I'm not going to try and ruin myself talking by coughing my lungs out. But if I'm in a situation like in my day-to-day life where suddenly something is really high intensity, high tension, high anxiety, I will fucking start coughing my lungs out like crazy. It's really bad, and it's been going on for a long time where I'll just, you know, just randomly be like, you know, but I'll just like start going at like, so. Those are a few that have gone on throughout my life, and obviously the nose one is the most prominent. It's the most obvious, especially when you're sitting and watching me talk for however long each day. But I had times in the past where I've tried to keep myself from doing it, and it just drives me nuts. It's just something I do. It just is what it is. So for people who are not familiar, I do have anxious tics. I am kind of an anxious person. Like, you know, some people don't believe it. I try, you know, but it is what it is. So that's all I guess I really have to say about the anxious tics and the nervous tics. You're going to keep seeing me do the fucking Zizek or Zizek or however you pronounce his name, nose scratch forever. All right, but today I want to talk about some more wage cuck stories, because I was talking to somebody recently, and you know, and this is a question that I've had many times, where they're like, Eggman, you know, I come from a background of humble beginnings where I was scared to death of all kinds of shit. I was super anxious. I mean, I'm surprised that they never put me on anxiety medication, actually, because I just had terrible anxiety. I would fucking sit in these classes. I wouldn't do groups. If I was scheduled group homework, I'd throw it away. I'd walk out of the class. I was skipping class. All different kinds of things. You know, I ended up going to an opportunity school. I was, you know, all these different things that happened because it was really, I had this anxiety and this propensity to where I just, you know, couldn't really be with people and do people things. So people, now that I seem to, you know, I don't know how much I feel about it, because it's really a lot where I'm at the computer a lot of the times, and it's a lot of social engagement through the internet. But obviously, yes, you have seen me to where I'm hanging out with people in, you know, whether it's, you know, pizza even as much, or hanging out with Trihex or Ice Poseidon or Sam Hyde or whatever the case might be. You're like, okay, you're engaging in interaction with these people. You're flying across the country by yourself. You're doing this stuff. So if somebody was like really anxious, they wouldn't be doing that. You know, I'm breaking my fucking bones doing crazy dance moves. You know, it's not something that lends itself to an anxious person. So people are like, you know, really, how did you do it, Eggman? How did you go from, you know, couldn't even fucking look at people, you know, you're losing your breath, you're having a heart attack just to be in a crowd of 5 people, to flying across the country and sleeping in a total stranger's house or whatever the case might be. And I thought about it, I'm like, gosh, you know, because I thought about making a sequel to the Making a Black Pillar video also, because I felt like I rushed that one a little bit towards the end. But I kind of sat and I thought to myself, I was like, God, really, what was the thing? What was the thing? And then I kind of thought to myself, I was like, oh, well, I totally know what the thing was. I know what it was that was able to help me bridge that gap that I had from younger, where I was so deathly anxious, to start making those improvements to become less of an anxious person. And it was my job. That's what it was. It was my job. I had to become more sociable in order to keep the job that I had. And I've said this before, the first job that I had was a total shit show, but I was sort of lucky in a way that it was so much of a loose operation and so totally, you know, crazy and combozzled and woo and disorganized, because if it was a smooth, organized operation, I probably would get fired like most jobs that I have. So the fact that it was so disjointed kind of played to my strength in that situation, because, you know, I've mentioned this before in other videos, but in my first job, you know, I had such anxiety and such bad anxiety that it would kind of choke me up sometimes. There were times where I would, you know, if I was closing, which normally I would be the closer when I first started, I would close up the shop, turn the lights off, you know, the cash was counting everything, turn the lights off, but I wouldn't set the alarm to leave. I would just lay there because I would just be so overcome with this, like, oh, it was just like this fucking gripping, crushing, anxious feeling that if you have, if you have anxiety, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where you're just like, oh my God, it was just like, fuck, I needed to just lay down and I needed to just fucking shut my eyes. I would lay on the goddamn floor and shut my eyes and just be like, everything needs to go. Everything needs to just fucking, I need to be aired out. Everything just needs to fucking, leave my brain right now because I'm fucking freaking out. I'm going wild. I'm going nuts. I just need it all to just kind of, to alleviate. And it was very, very awful. I went through this, like I said, I really don't think that I really got a handle on this sort of anxiety. I mean, probably I worked at this job for like 3 years, and I would say it definitely took like a good 2 years for me to kind of get a grip on it, because even when I was in college, I went to college thinking that all these problems I had when I was in high school with this anxiety, I thought, maybe, okay, well now, I was kind of feeling myself kind of in the groove. I'd been working for a couple years, or close to a couple years when I first started college. I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this, and I go to college, and I'm just like sitting there, and like I'm fucking just, by the time I ended up failing out of college, I was just like, oh my God, I wanted to just like rip my face off every single day when I was in there, because I would just be like looking at everybody. I'm like, are they looking at me? Am I looking at them? Are we looking at each other? Just, oh my God, every single goddamn thing. I would just be like, fucking hyperventilating. And, oh my God, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of this fucking place now, which is probably also, it lends itself, I'm sure, to the fact that I have a difficulty with maintaining real life relationships. I can go and, spend time with people and have fun or whatever, but when it comes down to like the day-to-day, is this person really, do they really want to be my friend? Or do they really like me? Or do they, and for God's sakes, I'm going to be fucking 30 years old before too long here, and I'm still thinking about this shit like I'm a goddamn 12-year-old, There's dog barking. But anyways, so I need to actually respond to this person still that I was talking to the other day, because when I was saying, oh, well, hey, you go online, that's online is the easy way to get in contact with people. If you're just trying to find somebody to talk to, that's one thing. But when you're trying to actually combat the anxiety, you can still have anxiety, online as well. And I really wish that dog would shut up right now, but I'm not up there, and there's probably a mailman or something. But yeah, I mean, really, that was the thing. And also, we'll get to the wage cuck stories now, the actual stories. Because just to be there, just to be there at the job and just to be doing your thing at the job was not the most nerve-wracking thing, because I was working pretty simple. I've never really worked anything that has ever needed any sort of complexity whatsoever, because that's just what I've worked. I've always worked like the most menial, easy cashier jobs, pretty much. Like, there's been a couple small jobs that I've had that aren't cashier related, but it's pretty much always been cashier related, and super easy. One job I worked, it wasn't like, nowadays everything's so automatic. You can just punch in $20 and it comes up with the change automatically. I had a job that I worked at for a small period of time where you had to calculate everything mentally, and that kind of came, I'm able to do that, so that sort of came in handy. That was pretty, it was kind of fun and engaging to kind of take down everything by hand, take down the transactions by hand. It was all cash. That was a small thing, when, back around the same time I was having my first job. But so it wasn't the tasks of the job that, were the baseline tasks. Those weren't the ones that really racked the nerves. It was the fact that you would have to deal with such fucking horrible piece of shit people constantly, such asshole people, such dickhead people, that your anxiety was going to flare, you know what I mean? Your anxiety was going to just shoot up, having to deal with people. I mean, in the first probably 6 months that I worked at my first gas station job, I was getting ran through the fucking ringer, because I would have these goddamn welfare bums. And here's the thing too. When I first started my first job, back in like 2010, I was a lefty. I thought, I went to Occupy Wall Street when that happened. I was like, the rich people are having it too good. They're having it too easy. I was like, oh, they're having so much more money. They're hoarding all the money. That's how it was when I first got into, when I was first out of high school. Like, I tried to consider myself to be centrist, but I had some of those leftist opinions. But when I started working my first job, and I came to realize just how depraved and crooked and just deceitful and all these type of things that these people who received all these government benefits and who were like all these poor people were, I was like ready to just fucking hop on and be like, oh, actually, hey, what? Hey, rich people, hey, you know what? You do your thing over there and let's, fuck these people, basically. And I've kind of, obviously my views on things have sort of evolved and maybe become a little bit more refined since I was 18 years old, but I just had to deal with these people. They were always trying to steal constantly, always trying to pull scams. You would have a mother, come in with her 10 bastard children and come in and just fucking, they call them flash mobs or whatever, where they just run through the store and they each grab, like, half the kids would grab a candy bar and half would just, like, not, they just run through the aisles and they'd all run out. And what are you going to do? You can't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have a fucking full security force there to, and if somebody was there and tried to stop the people, which I had happen a couple times, either they would drop the shit on the floor on their way out, or, they'd be like, the one kid who didn't steal anything would be like, whoa, I didn't steal anything. Look, my pockets are turned out. You're fucking racist. You're racist, or you're an asshole, or whatever, And so having to deal with these people writing bad checks and just trying to do all these scams. They're always trying to do scams, always trying to do all these things. Like, that was what would fucking put your anxiety to the test, because it's so funny, actually. I think I just mentioned this in the last EggWars, I think, about the Minnesotan politics. But there was a guy who was from my hometown who was a notorious criminal. He was always continuously trying to scam businesses, constantly defrauding them for hundreds of dollars in merchandise, all kinds of shit. And then all of a sudden he started wearing women's lingerie in public. And then he's like, oh, I want to be the main figure of gay minorities in the Midwest. And it's like, what the fuck? But it was like, I mean, maybe he's really gay, but he basically started using it as like a defense. Like he was the Kevin Spacey like 4 years ago, like the gay black women's lingerie Kevin Spacey, going like boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, I defrauded your business. Racist, sexist, homophobe, transphobe, And the thing about my first job is that, in subsequent jobs, if you got scammed in a way, there was certain times you could be liable for punishment and certain times where they'd be like, oh shit, well, we know the guy now for next time, or we got a sketch, or we got a name, or whatever the case might be. But my first job, they didn't play that bullshit. It was a gas station, and I had some guy who, I can't remember what the hell his name was now, but he was, I called him Caveman, because he looked like, he had a caveman brow, and he was like really just like hairy, but his name was Shane, I think, actually, now that I think about it. But just a career criminal, and I'm 18-year-old kid, I don't know any better. He comes in and he's like, oh shit, yo, I forgot my fucking money, dude. Yo, but here, this is my check, but it's my brother's, sister's, mother-in-law's, wife's, dog's, grandpa's check, or whatever the case, whatever bullshit it was. And he's like, well, I don't got any money, so either I'm gonna leave, or you're gonna take the check, man. And he's like all freaking out. And I'm just like, oh, well, I don't want any confrontation, so yeah, whatever, just write the check, I really don't care, whatever. And it was a bad check, it was just a fraudulent check, so my boss is like, well, it was $30, so where's it at? Cough it up. And so I got $30 taken out of my fucking paycheck, to pay for some random guy's gas. And the thing is that this guy, I don't think I ever saw him again exactly, although he did date this chick who ended up becoming a single mother, and I would fucking neg her every single time that I saw her since then. I'd be like, oh, hey, it's that chick that goes with all the criminals. Hey, it's the criminal lover, which sounds extremely autistic, and she probably was like, what the fuck, but she was with him, so I never got over that. Like, when people do shit to me, when people cross me like that, I think I've mentioned this before, like, I just have this, like, fucking grudge against them for the rest of my life, because I just, I'm not good about knowing when somebody's gonna try and fuck with me, so when I know that they have tried to fuck with me or have fucked with me in the past, like, I'm extremely, like, I'll tell them, fuck you to your face, fuck you piece of shit, I'll fucking, I'll throw these hands, even if they're just like, going about their business, so I'm sure I have gotten into situations from that before of people like, I don't know. I don't know why I do it. I have anger problems, okay? I don't like being taken advantage of. And this all kind of stems from all this, all this bullshit, it was Just, what was the other one I was going to talk about? Oh, there was a chick who was, she was actually a totally serial fraudster. Her name was Amy. And, I don't know. It's so weird because, like, these people, they would just, you know, the thing about these people is they would act in just such a way. They would be so very, you know, everything's all gravy. Everything's just so flowers and sunshine in their day-to-day lives. Oh, they got kids, and they got a husband, and they got this, and they got that. And then they come through your fucking store, and they fucking hit you for $200 in fraud. And then they go to the other store next door, and they hit them for $200 in fraud. And you're like, you know, and then they come back, and like they're with their mom or their sister or whatever, and, you know, acting like nothing's going on. And you gotta be like, hey, you fucking criminal. You're a fucking criminal piece of shit. You just defrauded my store of $200 yesterday. Get the fuck out of here. I'm calling the cops. And then they're all like, oh my god. You would say that about me? Oh my god, this store is so racist, and this store is so sexist, and this store is so bigoted. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna put this on Facebook, and I'm gonna put this on Instagram. And it's like, oh, you know, having to deal with this kind of bullshit, like, year after year after year, like, that's why I don't get anxious, you know, like, if I go to a chick and I'm like, hey baby, hey sugar tits, let me see your fucking big fat milkers. Why don't you drop those big goddamn milk cans right in my face, baby? You know, and then I get punched or whatever. It's like, you know, how did I get to that fucking giving zero fucks point from a younger age of being just, you know, afraid to even stand in a crowd of people? Because I had to go, and my job, my means of survival was to basically go and stand at a cash register and have fucking welfare, fraud, criminal, low-life, trailer trash, subhuman scum who their whole life is just fucking taking advantage of people, having to come and deal with their bullshit, basically have it, I mean, it was either, you know, lose your job from just letting them fucking walk all over you, or you say, hey, you fucking no good piece of shit, I hope your whole family gets murdered, you fucking no good scum, I can't wait until the day your fucking EBT gets cut off and all your children die in the streets because you don't even know who any of your fathers of your children are. They're all fucking crack dealers who are all fucking serving 100 years in prison because they were selling crack to undercover cops, saying all this bullshit, whatever the hell was going on. Fuck you, and fuck your kids, and I hope you all die, you know. So that's pretty much, you know, that's how it goes. And there was another time, this was just the worst, would be when people would be coming out of state, or they would be coming from, you know, if I was in southeast Minnesota, you know, the capital of Minnesota is more like, it's still kind of southeast in proportion to the state, but I would say it's more like central to the state. That's just my opinion. Anyway. You'd have people that would come from, like, the capital, or they would come up from Illinois or Chicago, or they would come over from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or any of these crime hubs. And, you know, we would have our policies where, you know, well, you can't take any checks from so far away, and you can't do XYZ. You know, there was certain measures in place, but you would come there, and they would just do everything they could to fucking step on your toes. Even if they would come in and be like, oh, I have a check from Chicago, and you'd be like, that's no fucking good here. There's no way I'm going to take that. They would do every single thing. Oh, my mom she's dying right now. My mom's in the hospital and she's dying. If you don't take this check, oh my god, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to you know, I'm going to, you know, and they would yell. They would fucking climb up on the counter and fucking get in your face and just yell and all this different stuff. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible, you know what I mean? And the thing is that even aside from these criminals, these fraudsters who were always trying to steal every penny they could, then you had the fucking baby boomers who were almost just as bad. You know, they weren't going out of their way to commit fraud, but they were just so awful, just such assholes all the time. And, like, this is part of the reason why I've had a lot of difficulty, obviously, in the last 2 to 3 months finding a new job. I haven't been working. But at the same time, it's like, I'm almost cool with this in a way, like, even if I have to fucking scrounge and scringe and, you know, any day could befall me a terrible disaster, you know, having to sit and work in this piece of shit goddamn retail jobs or convenience store jobs or whatever, and have some old fucking hippie look me in my face and be like, you know,
I was at Walmart the other day, and these candy bars are 20 cents more than Walmart. How can you even live with yourselves? You know, I'm gonna go on my Facebook group, single old boomer hippie women, and we're gonna talk about how your business is such a piece of shit, and we're gonna boycott your business. And do you even do free trade? You're probably, obviously, I mean, you're working at a little retail job, so obviously, well, you're not, you wouldn't understand. You're not educated like me. You don't have 3 women's studies degrees like me, and have no children like me, so I'm a fucking worthless piece of shit loser who never had a family, who wastes all their goddamn time complaining at fucking convenience store employees because my life is worthless and it means nothing, and if I got fucking hit by a semi-truck tomorrow, nobody would even know because I never bred, I have no family, I was an only fucking sibling because all my fucking siblings were smoking LSD in the 60s and their brains exploded and they all died, and my fucking worthless goddamn parents were so couldn't fucking whip me into shape, and my life means nothing. So I'm gonna sit around and complain about a fucking 1 cent off price, or, they'll go and they'll buy a piece of fruit. This is when I was working at the grocery store. They'd go and they'd pick up a couple pieces of fruit, and the fruit would be like, so much per pound, and they would think that, maybe it was so much per single piece of fruit or whatever. They didn't read the signs, then they'd come up and they'd ring it up, and it would ring up, okay, well, hey, this is what it is. Oh my god. You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. That is an absolutely ridiculous thing. Back in 1970, I was making 16 silver quarters an hour at my job as a cashier when we used the ticker tape and blah, 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 blah. And, blah, 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 and whatever stupid, just the stupidest shit. Oh my god. So really, I guess, the point I want to make here is, first off, wage cucking is fucking torture. I hate fraudsters who pass bad checks and all that bullshit. I would really just love to, also I hate drug addicts because they have a tendency to commingle these two, the welfare abusing scum and the drug addicts. I would tell people when I would be working at nights at the gas station a few years ago, I would be like, I would just love to end the life of every single fucking welfare leeching drug addict that walks. Okay, I don't care what they have to say. Oh, well, I really tried. It's just really hard. And I just, I don't care. Then die, fucker. Just die, please. Just fucking take too much and just fucking die. Cause I'm sick of you coming in and fucking robbing my store and me having to deal with your bullshit. And that's my anxiety right there. You know what I mean? That's my anxiety. I don't want to have a fucking anxiety attack. So I have to fucking approach you while you're fucking foaming at the mouth trying to steal candy bars in your Goodwill coat. Just die. And all you fucking boomers also that are 80 years old and still want to come in and try to fight me at a goddamn job because the apple costs 3 cents too much. In your opinion, the fucking sign is right. It's only your stupid, retarded, elderly, dementia, lead paint eating opinion that thinks that something should change. You can fuck off and die too. You've already been alive for way longer. You are way past your prime. Just fucking die, please. And, but hey, you know what? You deal with this bullshit long enough and your life will just become such a hollow shell of itself. Your soul will die so much that you just won't even give a fuck about anything anymore. You won't feel anxiety. You can approach any girl on the street and just be like, hey baby, let's go for a night on the town, because what is she gonna fucking, you'll welcome something bad happening. You'll welcome death because you're so sick of having to deal with these fucking horrible wage cucking experiences. You'll welcome, her boyfriend, coming up from behind you and fucking breaking the back of your neck with a well-placed punch and knocking your goddamn spine into several pieces. You're gonna be like, oh, thank God, finally, I don't have to go back and deal with, old man Jenkins tomorrow complaining about how the ham was priced wrong when he has an ad from last year because he's so fucking stupid and demented and he has nobody in his family to fucking tell him to get a goddamn new coupon because the shit expired last year, you fucking idiot. Oh, Christ. But hey, it's a good way to work on your anxiety. It'll make you feel better, maybe. I mean, it won't, because you're going to feel like your life is totally pointless and death is welcome. But you're not going to feel anxious anymore. So if you're having problems with anxiety, you don't know how to talk to people off the internet, go start working at Walmart. Go start working in an urban McDonald's or something, and just let all hell wash over you. Just let all the pain just wash over you and make it hurt so good, and you won't even care about anything anymore. That's my treatment.
That's my treatment I recommend. By the way, I don't recommend that. I really don't. Stay afraid of women. Stay afraid of people. Stay online and stay away from the fucking wage cuck hell. Stay away from boomers. Stay away from thieves. Don't get shanked for a fucking candy bar, for God's sake. That's not true either. I do want everybody to be able to do their best in life. I wish I had better answers. I wish I did. I've talked about stuff before, but this just made me think of it. I don't know. This just came to mind to me today. I haven't worked I stopped working at my grocery store job 6 months ago now. So I haven't even had to deal with real wage cuckery for the last 6 months, which is it's pretty cool, although, you know, things are tight lately obviously, but it's God, I fucking hate people. I'm antisocial for life, baby. I'm sorry. You know, you can say you think I'm full of shit because I've talked to people and I talk to the internet and all that, but having to deal with all those awful people, man, it will just turn you into something. It will turn you into something else. All right, but in any case, my friends, thank you for tuning in to another Egg Wars. I appreciate your continued viewership and continued support, and much love to you, much appreciation to you. And I will catch you next time. Peace out.
Sounds from the void.